Hello and good evening. You're watching Burning Question. I'm Shraddha. Shraddha's father alleges a love jihad angle to her murder. Central Minister Giriraj Singh says there is a love jihad mission going on in the country. As we debate on the Burning Question, stay tuned. We'll start with the headlines. Twenty-six-year-old Shraddha is butchered, her body parts frozen and discarded. The nation demands justice for Shraddha. Body chopped into 35 pieces, discarded in 18 days. Did Aaftab single-handedly commit this barbaric crime, or were more killers accomplice? Big focus on dating app Bumble. Why are the advocates of women empowerment silent on the Shraddha murder case? Why is there no social accountability? Grotesque crime unravels in national capital. Demand grows for probe into the love jihad angle. Medical negligence in Chennai claims the life of a 17-year-old football player. Massive protests erupt. And in Bali for the big G20 summit, Prime Minister Modi meets Chinese President Xi in a first after Galwan. A 26-year-old is butchered, her body parts chopped into 35 pieces, frozen for days and discarded over 18 days in the national capital. The Shraddha murder case has shocked the nation. The barbarism has shocked the nation. And even as chilling details continue to emerge, there is this big focus on the love jihad angle. A sentiment echoed from the masses to the ministers. The chorus for a probe into the love jihad angle is only growing louder.
A 26-year-old murdered, chopped into pieces and dumped in the forest. The murder of Shraddha by her live-in partner Aaftab has enraged the entire nation. And there is a fresh twist in the murder investigation. As per news agency ANI, Shraddha's father, Vikas Walkar, suspects love jihad angle and has demanded death penalty for Aaftab. A sentiment echoed by even Union Minister Giriraj Singh.
उन्होंने एक तरह से लिविंग रिलेशन नहीं बल्कि वैवाहिक रिलेशन के रूप में, और जब उसके बाद उसे टुकड़े टुकड़े करके फेंक दिया, ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। इस देश के अंदर में ये एक लव जिहाद एक तरह से मिशन चल गया है।
The anger is on the streets now. Hindu groups to stage protests and demanded a thorough investigations into the allegations of love jihad.
लड़की को काट के महरौली के जंगलों में फेंक दिया जाता है और प्रशासन 6 महीने से सो रखा था। दिल्ली पुलिस सो रखी थी एक लड़की के साथ इतने घिनौने कृत्य किए। हम उसका विरोध कर रहे हैं कि जागो दिल्ली सरकार, जागो। कब तक एक महिला की सुरक्षा के वैसे वादे करते मुद्दे, कहाँ गई दिल्ली की सुरक्षा? हम उसका विरोध कर रहे हैं कि जागो। आज नहीं जागे तो कभी नहीं जागोगे। हम ये डिमांड करके जो दिल्ली पुलिस ने जो 6 महीने बाद जो एक्शन लिया, जो वो पकड़ा गया है, उसको फांसी की सजा होनी ही चाहिए।
Vishwa Hindu Parishad too has demanded love jihad investigations.
We would insist that no angle should be left out, including of the love jihad. A comprehensive study should be made. And if love jihad helps shaping this mentality, then the society will have to find out ways to meet it out.
Will the Delhi police investigate love jihad angle to Shraddha's murder case? Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And the guest joining me on Burning Question, I have Leader of the BJP, Raman Malik, joining us. We have Sadhvi Pragya Bharti, Hindu scholar, joining us on Burning Question. Advocate and political analyst Tausif Ahmed Khan joins us on Burning Question, and so does Pranay Ajmera, political analyst. Thank you so much for coming on Burning Question. Let me begin with Mr. Malik. Mr. Malik, as the central minister says, Giriraj Singh very clearly says that there is a mission going on in the country, a mission for love jihad. And the Muslim boys are only going ahead targeting Hindu women. Now, why do you think that this Shraddha murder case is a case of love jihad and not a barbaric murder committed by a maniac who has no remorse at all?
See, it is regretful, it is painful. Not just that, if you are a father, and especially a father of a daughter, being one myself, I feel shivers in my spine today that what could happen to a daughter, and that too one who gets entangled with a Muslim youth. And why I say a Muslim youth in specific is that there is not one case, there are multiple cases where this has happened. Whether it is Ekta, Priya, Shalini, Yadav, Niharika, Tomar, Neha, Anjana, Pooja, and then multiple number of cases which have come up. I believe that when the UP unlawful conversion of religion ordinance came in, there were a lot of people who went to the Honorable Supreme Court also. And the Honorable Supreme Court threw their petition into the dustbin, stating that it is required. I remember the Kerala High Court saying that this angle is a very dreadful one and this must be looked into. My point here is simple. There are multiple videos, there are multiple reports of the newspaper, there are senior journalists who's looked into it, there are senior police officers. Just yesterday, on another news channel, a senior retired IPS officer from Jharkhand, a lady had come up and said in as many words that there is a love jihad going on. And there is money given to these youth to do these activities. Now the point is, can a secular nation accept this as a way of life? That is number one. Number two, even if you leave the love jihad angle for 1 minute, I want to understand a simple logic. All the feminist walas, all the secularism walas, all the award wapsi gangs, all these so-called liberals, all the left liberal gangs, they are all vanished. No statement is coming. Third most important point. Those channels, those so-called liberal channels who do not have the spine which is of steel like Republic are hiding, and those media outlets are hiding the name of the killer and the butcher. And on top of it, the kind of reports that are coming from the investigation that he was dating after murdering Shraddha, he was dating and bringing other women into the same room. How barbaric and inhuman it is. And
that is shocking, Mr. Malik. That is absolutely shocking.
And
there was no remorse. But was there a bigger plan to this? Exactly. He was calm, there was no remorse, he was meeting other women, and in the same house where body parts were chopped and kept in the refrigerator, Tausif Ahmed Khan. Absolute silence from the liberal lobby as Mr. Malik is pointing out. But more than that, when the father himself is saying that I suspect a love jihad angle, why dismiss it?
No, this is a very barbaric act, a very, it fits the category of rarest of rare case, and I demand capital punishment. I demand that the court takes this case as a fit case for the rarest of the rare, because look at the barbarism, look at the accused who has no remorse for what he has done. This should be absolutely dealt with iron fist. It's a case of crime, and an example should be set. A precedent should be set. A deterrence should be set, so that anyone in the future thinking of committing such crime should think twice before doing it. That's that's one part. The matter is going on. I have complete
Tausif Ahmed Khan,
faith on the police.
if I would just
They have
interject you
arrested
for
the
a minute,
accused,
I find this
and
very
that
strange
they will.
because whenever I'm speaking to people who are part of the liberal lobby, if I can just say this, the first and foremost, the first thing that they're saying is that how this man should be given the strictest of punishment and how this is the rarest of rare crime that he's committed. This is something that we all know. And why do we even need to speak about this, Tausif Ahmed Khan? I'm sure that we all, as citizens of this country, people who've seen this news since yesterday, feel the same thing. Now, what I'm trying to say is there a larger angle, Mr. Khan? Is there a larger angle, and should that be probed? Because the father says yes, he's suspicious and he wants that angle to be probed.
Well, police is interrogating this matter, and I'm sure that police will investigate all angles. And whatever angle you can name it, and you can name, any political party, any political minister would come up and give it any angle, any name. It does not really matter. When police is investigating a case, it must look at all angles, including the angle that the victim's father has suggested.
No, why would you not want to name it? When the father is naming it and he's saying that he's suspicious, why not talk about it? You're saying the police...
Yes, I'm saying police must probe all angles. But if media and if some people with vested interest starts taking political benefit over it, or starts taking, giving some kind of political color, then I would say that it is not doing a justice to the victim or victim's family. The justice requires...
No, but how is it a political color is what I'm asking. Mr. Khan, how is it a political color? It is something that the media did not speak about yesterday. I know that Republic did not, but we are speaking of it because the father speaks of it now. So why not speak about it?
No,
why are you terming it as a political color? Because the father himself speaks of it.
No, you are speaking because a politician who is almost like a buffoon, a politician from Bihar.
I'll repeat that again. No, sir.
Politician
Mr. Khan,
from Bihar
I will
made a
repeat.
political comment.
And
Mr.
Khan, I will repeat that for you. The father says he suspects love jihad. And I think for all of us, Sadhvi Pragya, that holds importance. The father is saying that he suspects a love jihad angle. He says that the love jihad angle needs to be probed. Then why are we not giving precedence to the father's insight into it? Why are we so ready to dismiss it? Why are we only seeing it as Giriraj Singh's statement?
No, Giriraj Singh has said that this is not a live-in relationship. It is almost like a wedding. So Giriraj Singh must understand that we do not live in an ancient world, and a woman has a right to be in a live-in relationship.
Am I audible now?
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying go by what the father says. Ji, Sadhvi Pragya, go ahead.
Yeah, my point is she was just 26, Sucharita. Imagine a girl of 26 years. She fell for the wrong guy, and we all know what happened after that. It's shocking, it's barbaric, it's heinous. No words for such crime happening in our country. We are living in 2022. Why always target Hindu girls? What is the motive behind it? It needs to be probed, yes. And what is the problem? When the father is claiming it, what is the problem in probing it? Crime against women seems to be on the rise, majorly due to lack of accountability and conviction. Our country sees 35,000 rapes a year, and what's worse is that we have around 430,000 cases of crime against women pending in our courts as of today. Every crime that gets highlighted invites a lot of debate, but this is high time that these debates turn into some positive change on the ground. And it took one Nirbhaya. So Charita, remember, it took one Nirbhaya to unite us, and Justice Verma to present a 600-page report to propel ground changes. But sadly, most of them are unimplemented even now. So I request the Government of India to introduce a special court specifically for this crime category, which fast tracks the most gruesome ones, hands over harshest of punishments, and sets precedent like never before. How many Nirbhayas or Shraddhas do we have to sacrifice before some concrete judicial reform is made? How many more? That's the question I sadly ask today to everyone present in the panel. We have hearts. Do we not have heart? It's a conspiracy of religious conversion through marriage.
Exactly.
Prohibition of unlawful religious conversion. Yeah, infamously known as love jihad. States, among other things, that a marriage will be declared null and void if the sole intention of the same is to change a girl's religion. Why doing this? What is the issue? Why can't you just understand
and the girl
the
wanted
larger
to come out
picture
of
here?
this relationship is what the friends are coming out. The friends are coming out and telling. They are telling. They're speaking to the media, and her friend has spoken to Republic, and he very clearly says that how she wanted to move out of this relationship, and she was being beaten up in this relationship.
Yeah.
And the gory details that are coming out, Pranay. She was butchered, her body parts frozen, discarded, and other women coming into the house when the body was still in the refrigerator. Now, this man absolutely had no remorse. He had no emotions.
Sucharita ji, whatever happened was very brutal, and this man should be awarded strictest of the strict punishment. But let's take this point into consideration, that the police and the investigation authorities have to prove beyond reasonable doubt about the gruesomeness, about the brutality of the crime committed before the honorable court. And for doing this, a proper investigation, a thorough investigation is important. A thorough investigation is possible only if the investigation agencies explore all the options, explore all the depositions by the friends, by the family, and by the other people who knew the deceased and who knew that Aaftab monster. Secondly, in our courts, there is, or in our legal system, there is no crime as yet to be come up or as yet to be registered as love jihad. The governments in various states are thinking about making it a crime which is there in the books. But I have to say that ma'am, please make me complete. Let me complete a point. That monster will be charged under 300 and section 2 of IPC.
The first prosecution, the first case for love jihad, where an imprisonment of 5 years, the sentence has also been given, has come up in UP. Pranay, so it is very much now taking shape, and it has happened because people were coming out with complaints of love jihad. Why were the state governments forced to make this a law?
Sucharita ji, the crime has happened in Delhi. Delhi police has got the jurisdiction to investigate the crime. The crime has not happened in UP. It is the UP government
yes, but then don't dismiss love jihad is what I'm saying. Why are you dismissing it? When state governments from UP to Madhya Pradesh have come up with a love jihad law, and they've come up with this law, and there is the first sentence is also taken place in UP. How can you dismiss it, sir?
That has happened in UP. Has it happened in Delhi?
Okay, let me.
That monster will be charged under section 300.
So does that allow you to dismiss love jihad, sir? Is what I'm asking. How can you dismiss love jihad? Because the law is not taken shape in Delhi. Are you going to dismiss love jihad? Do you think there is something like love jihad or no? You don't think there's something like love jihad?
Sucharita, I want to ask,
as far as it is not there in legal books,
I want to ask him, what is the problem in proving love jihad angle?
Once it is there in the legal books, I will accept it.
What is the problem in proving the angle? If his father is claiming it, his father, the father of Shraddha is claiming. Shraddha is his daughter. He's claiming he's in pain.
My sister, with all the respect, I accept your point that her father.
Let the police, if police is suspicious of this, what is the problem? I'm just not getting your point.
But we are not going anywhere if we explore that option, because the trial will be coming. The trial will be happening in the court under section relevant of the IPC and
I'm
CRPC.
not getting
No.
what is the
Both the
problem
section
in
doesn't have
proving love jihad
Pranay
anger
ji,
to
you're trying to say
Please
that there
say
is
it.
no
You're
law,
sitting on the
there is no
national
love jihad law
television.
in Delhi, so how can we go ahead with it? But Mr. Malik,
Yes.
Mr. Malik, isn't this a reality
Will that
that
be admissible in the court of
there
law?
were complaints of cases which were similar? The governments were being flooded with such cases, and that is why states like Madhya Pradesh, states like
You
Uttar
and
Pradesh
me may
came
not
up with
go.
the love jihad law.
You
Shraddha,
and me may
one
not
must
go.
not
Okay, let
forget.
Mr. Malik respond.
Pranay,
Delhi government
can you put
also
his
make
feeder
such
down?
law.
But
Please
the
listen
court
to
will
what I
have
have
to
to
go
say.
with the
We
book.
propose
First and
it.
foremost point is
The court would
that
have to go with the law.
please
and law doesn't
listen, please
sanction that.
listen. Just calm down and listen.
Okay, Pranay,
Before
why don't
getting
you
young,
listen to Mr.
In 2017, the
Listen to Raman
Honorable Kerala High Court had come up with this term of love jihad being discussed under the judicial system of India.
Yes.
And they very clearly said there was a law required for it. Period. So the
Definitely.
judiciary
A law is
understands.
required,
Listen to me.
but a
Let
law
me
is
finish
yet
it.
to be
Let
enacted.
me finish. I did not disturb you.
Please don't miss.
Just shut up and listen. Just keep quiet and listen to the facts. The second thing is, a person who has been embedded with the ideology of games like Tharasu, where it's the circle of hell for women, we might as well understand what are they going to do with the daughters. The third is, when you're talking about no law in the state, the law has to be passed. What is the Delhi Assembly doing? Can they not immediately pass? They gave a Silai machine to Nirbhaya's killer. You remember that? The Salai machine being given to them. But the same lobby like you and Tausif earlier are the ones.
Please don't make it a personal allegation. Sir, I am talking what the law says. I am here in the capacity of being a lawyer. And the law doesn't sanction any such crime. Once the law enacts such crime, once it is entered in the legal books that love jihad is a crime, I will accept it. And I would.
Investigation. Here you are wanting an investigation to happen first. Why is this hypocrisy? Why this hypocrisy? Like they say, why this collaborating? That's what I'm asking. Why this
is not
hypocrisy?
hypocrisy. This is acceptance of the facts and legal circumstances of our country.
Investigation.
The Kerala High Court has definitely observed it. But did any government enacted an enactment of regarding the love jihad? No.
Sir.
And then how the court will proceed?
Sir, do you have a daughter? Sir, do you
Definitely.
have a daughter?
Don't make it a personal allegation. Don't make it a personal matter. I'm not going anywhere personal. I'm going legal. Let's stick to the fact.
How would you feel? Imagine if you had a daughter of your own.
I am the person who is demanding capital punishment for that monster. But that has to happen legally. Because we have to prove beyond reasonable doubt in the court of law
that's
that
perfectly
monster
fine.
has committed a brutal crime.
Pranay Ajmera, I
Please,
do not think that there is anybody on the panel who does not want a capital punishment or who does not want the strictest of punishment for Aaftab. I don't think there is any debate on that, sir.
Stand before the court now.
There is no debate on that, sir. Tausif Ahmed Khan said the same thing, so did Sadhvi Pragya. We all want the strictest of punishment for that man who did not have any remorse, who lived with the woman's body in the refrigerator, chopped into small pieces. He was living in the same house. And he was also inviting other people into that same house.
And there is no question to it.
This whole barbaric act
Sucharita,
has been
there is no
committed
question
and
to
he
it
has
that we
no
want
remorse. He
stricter
says, I've killed her.
punishment for him.
And he lived with it for 5 months, ma'am.
Yes.
He was living like
You
that
are
for 5
right.
months.
And
If there
also
was,
on top of
if
it,
the
he
friends
had
had
the
not
guts
found
to
out that
bring another
Shraddha
girl
was
to his
missing, if
home.
they had not given a tip off to the parents, to the father, in all probability, he would have gone ahead. He would have gone ahead and he would be living happily. No sense of remorse. So let's not debate on what punishment he should be getting. I'm sure we're all on the same line. But what I'm trying to ask is, Tausif Ahmed Khan, is there no reality to love jihad? Is there no love jihad? Does it not exist?
No, let us first use the words described by the proponent of this theory. They have said, and these are mainly the right wingers, the BJP and RSS lobby. They have said that there is love jihad, and according to them, what is love jihad? Love jihad, according to them, is a people of Muslim faith targeting, people of Hindu faith. and doing an intercaste marriage. So if we are to accept, assuming that they are correct, then in this case neither there was a marriage. In this case, this was a both adult on a dating app where they willingly came in search of a partner, and then they were in a live-in relationship. So if the proponent of the love jihad theory, they want the live-in relationship to be banned, to be declared as criminal, then that's a separate debate. Then that would mean that we are traveling back in crime.
Let me tell you what love jihad is.
Live-in relationship has been No, please do not interrupt me. Please do not interrupt me. See, if they want the live-in relationship, there are cases where courts have recognized for the purpose of benefit of couple, recognize live-in relationship as marriage. But live-in relationship.
Okay. Mr. Malik is showing us some video. Mr. Malik, if he can complete his point, and then we could come to you, sir. If you could just complete his point, then I would come to you, Mr. Malik. Because we're not able to hear what you're showing.
It's not audible.
This video I can forward you. This is a confession by a boy saying that love jihad exists. This is there available on the social media. Anybody can see that. And this video is very clearly saying what is the rate card. Now, so don't come up with a sorry figure stating that no love jihad exists, and don't be such hypocritic. The first and foremost is stop blaming others for your own indiscipline. So the indiscipline is in the community, which has to correct itself. Those people who are misguiding the youth
who is this
from a particular way to get into all of this must be punished by the community.
See,
why can't you do a self-correction?
Today we must recognize that in our society there are criminals, there are psychopaths, there are people like this who can actually imagine and actually do
if you are a father and tomorrow you have
killing.
a problem and you claim that there is some problem, some angle must be investigated.
So, Charita,
you do not want the government to explore that angle. It is as simple as that. Be a father first.
Yes, Sadhu, I'm coming to you.
And to spread hatred.
Be a father first. Understand, if you are a father and you claim that there might be another angle, you would require a settlement
I think any statement by a politician comes secondary. I'm again reiterating it. Whatever Giriraj Singh said could be a political statement, but are we not going to go by what the father said? Sadhu Pragya wants to make a point. Sadhu Pragya.
See, I think we must have a solution-oriented approach, and our collective role as a society needs to be re-evaluated here. Aaftab beats, kills, chops Shraddha, takes weeks to throw body parts. No one notices, no one objects, no neighbor, no passerby, no friend, no one. We live in a world where neighborhood watch or citizen watch is our first line of defense from the crime, which miserably failed in this particular case, sadly. We as a society need to be more vigilant, proactive and caring towards each other. Secondly, criminals are also part of our society. They are one amongst us only. So hence, most importantly, what we need today is more than ever is relationship education and a stand-alone subject discussing life skills and value education, which emphasizes on our relationship with the opposite gender and with other people at large. We need to instill a sense of peaceful coexistence based on love and mutual respect amongst our adolescents. This formative education, I would say, will heal the damaged sociological fabric of the society, hereby stopping romance from changing into revenge and passion changing into perversion. Just imagine, had Shraddha would have thought about it, had Shraddha would have given a single thought that what Aaftab would do to her, she would have never ever entered in any relationship with her. If Shraddha's death cannot unite us and take corrective action, I don't know what will. We simply can't her death go in vain. We owe it to her, to say the least, Sucharita. We owe it to her. Absolutely,
Sadhvi Pragya, and I think there is I think we all need to speak in the same breath, same line. Pranay Ajmera, I really don't have much time left, but all I want to say is that there is a national outrage, and I'm sure Tausif Ahmed Khan and so does Raman Malik, they stand together asking for justice for Shraddha, we all together stand in this, and we ask for the strictest of punishment for Aaftab. Thank you so much to all of you for joining me on Burning Question. And let me go across to my colleague Niranjan for the other debate on Burning Question.
Well, this is the biggest story we're tracking on Republic TV today, Sucharita. But there are many questions. Like you said, you looked at one aspect, on some calling it a case of love jihad. The family is alleging, the father is alleging it could be a case of love jihad. Now, we're debating it, but there are facts that we must focus on. Now, the Shraddha murder case is by far one of India's grisliest crimes. Now, there are many questions in the course of our reporting this morning. There were questions that were raised on the app that was used. Imagine this killer called Aaftab. He kills Shraddha, cuts her into 35 pieces, and almost immediately, we don't have a timeline on it, but almost immediately starts dating and being active on another, or rather the same app in question. It's the Bumble app. He finds another partner. The police, the investigators say that using the app, he brought another partner home at a time when the body parts of Shraddha were still in the house. In fact, one disturbing detail that came into our newsroom this evening, that the severed head of Shraddha was in the house when other partners were brought in. We don't know whether there was one partner or two partners, but the sheer details and the depravity of it all forcing us to ask some questions on the accountability of these apps. Now, there are some questions. We will deal with that. Here's the story so far.
The spine-chilling murder of 26-year-old Shraddha Walkar by her live-in partner Aaftab Poonawalla has put all the focus on dating app Bumble. Online dating app Bumble was where the two first met back in 2019. But the horrific and gory details of the case have shocked the entire nation. A 26-year-old woman butchered, chopped into 35 pieces, her body parts frozen and discarded over 18 days. But how is that global online dating app bears no social responsibility whatsoever? Even days after committing the gruesome murder, killer Aaftab remained active on Bumble. He used the same app to date another girl after killing Shraddha. The investigation has put the spotlight on dating app Bumble, and under lens is also the role of girl Aaftab met on the app after Shraddha's murder. As police tightens news in the case, Delhi police have decided to write to Bumble app seeking details of Aaftab's profile. But the burning question is, why won't the ones who advocate for women's rights won't even utter a single word on Shraddha's brutal murder? Let's debate.
Joining us on this section are N.S. Napinai, advocate in the Supreme Court and founder of Cyber Saathi. She's live from Mumbai this evening. Thank you, Napinai. Nikhil Mahadeshwar is the founder of Cyber Secure India. Will be joining us live in just a few minutes. Advocate Dr. Prashant Mali, cyber privacy law expert, will be joining us live. And Jiten Jain is also with us. He's a cyber security expert live from Dubai this evening. Let me start with you, Napinai. You had some very strong views on this entire app question. Even the police is looking at the question of how a killer with such a mindset was able to sort of get on an app. He meets people, he murders Shraddha, chops her up into pieces, and we are hearing that immediately after that started dating another woman. He was active on the app, meets another partner, brings that partner home. Now, my question is, where does the accountability of these apps begin or end? Napinai.
Niranjan, here is the situation in law. One, there is a safe harbor provision which goes to the benefit of apps as well as social media platforms, etc., which says that they will not be responsible for content hosted by third parties. Now, when two persons come together, the app is effectively just a facilitating platform, and that's the way they project themselves. After the intermediary guidelines of 2021, and more importantly, the 2022 amendments to the intermediary guidelines, a very interesting addition was done in the law, which says that now the app in this instance will have to ensure that the do's and don'ts that are set out for the users will be complied with, and they will ensure the compliance of the same. And in that compliance aspect, one of the issues that comes up is if somebody were to put some deceptive content, if they misrepresent themselves on the app, then the app also will have to take action in terms of ensuring compliance. Now, this responsibility or liability in effect actually manifests in reality even in this case. This is a pending case. I'm not going into the the factual aspects of it, but just to put forth the legal aspects. One, if the Delhi police is reaching out to Bumble to seek information, Bumble is bound to provide it. It's a mandate necessarily under the Information Technology Act. Two, they have to retain the evidence till this case is completed and provide all the information throughout the trial, appeal, etc. Three, when we talk about safety and security on dating apps or similar platforms, now what are the things that are to be done? One aspect is what law mandates, which is to say that you will ensure compliance of ABCD subsections, right? The other aspect is what an app can do as a self-regulatory mechanism. Bumble says that it is a female-faced app, and therefore it doesn't even allow the male to choose the the partner. It is only for the women on the app to be able to choose, etc. By itself, it doesn't provide sufficient protection. We are talking about a higher level. The law only mandates voluntary disclosure by the persons who are signing up for social media or apps, etc. So there is no compulsory verification process that is mandated. Should dating apps introduce it as a self-regulatory mechanism, therefore becomes the next step. They may want to do it given this kind of abuse of these platforms. We've come across many cases of fraud, deceit, just to pick up an affair or a girl, etc., or even financial frauds on dating apps or on matrimonial sites, etc. So with this kind of cyber crimes coming up, which is per se based on the platform itself, that was itself ground enough for apps to relook as a self-regulatory mechanism. What is the responsibility angle and not just legal compliance that they needed to do? Now that we have seen the higher order, and this is a case which shocks one's conscience, irrespective of who did it, etc., but it's shocking to the core. It just shakes up not just individuals, but the society as a whole. Situations, it makes us to pause and think about what next. What more can we do to provide protection for users, and how better can users also protect themselves? They have to know. One of the earliest cartoons that came out was in New York Times, which said you could be a dog on the internet. So it's high time that people understand they can't just take anything and everything they see online as real.
Well, let me take that question to Jiten. Jiten, what are the loopholes according to you, Jiten? What are the loopholes and questions that arise in this case?
Like, honestly, if we were to look at this, the whole incident from a larger perspective, I think in last 20 years, Indian society has, changed dramatically, like from an era of arranged marriages to love marriages, to dating, to blind dating, to meeting people on social media, exchanging numbers and then chatting on WhatsApp. But all these things are now, I think things have passed in last 5 years with this, high-speed internet and evolution of smartphone mobile apps. You're looking at apps which provide features of literally blind dating. And in the absence of any sort of KYC and authentication, there are huge risks involved in terms of impersonation, non-verification of a character of a person. I mean, you're talking and opening up to someone whom you have never even met, and then literally you're landing up on a blind date and their personal homes, which are, a risk, not safe zones. So I think three things have to happen here. I think we have to first segregate between the authentic apps like Bumble, Tinder, and these several fake dating apps which lure people to blackmail, sometimes trick them into installing malware. And these are silent cases which completely go unreported. Right, so there are many unauthentic, hundreds of apps you will find on social media and Google Play, which are offering you instant dates of beautiful girls, and these are all fake apps. Sometimes the app developers themselves offering fake profiles and tricking people to use malware. Now, second, I think in this era of online dating, I think the most vulnerable section of society are women and especially teenagers. Now, I think three basic things these app developers or things can, companies can do. One, I think like Bumble has done that only females can swipe first, and if you're sending pornographic images, it blurs them out. I think they could further use AI to detect fake profiles. They could further use AI to, identify some sort of a character of a person, like by analyzing his conversations. Is it like too sexual with everyone? Is he using slangs, abuses, and all those things? Second, creating a common history of offenders. So suppose if you meet a person on an online dating app, and if he has molested you or misbehaved with you, I think that person should be banned in a common database across all dating apps, so that you save more people from becoming the victim of that person, which is completely possible, which is technically possible. All it requires is self-voluntary code or self-data sharing. Now, third, I think these platforms, by some estimates, say that India has almost 50 lakh people on these dating app websites, which is a huge voluminous number. I think taking a step further on accountability, these apps should also appoint grievance officers like other social media companies in India and provide some sort of emergency helpline. Because most of the time what happens, a person will impersonate a fake profile of an actor, of a model. He will befriend certain people on dating apps. He will lure women. And once they figure out that he's a fake or an impersonator or some guy, random guy, this guy will block those females so that they can't report him out. So I think there has to be some mechanism to report even after an incident has taken place and the person has mismatched you or blocked you. And the last part, I think, which is more important, is the creating safe spaces. I think, and education. I think it's very, very important for teenagers to understand that meeting strangers on dates and then going to their homes is just not safe. Please make sure that at least you meet a person couple of times in public spaces before going to their homes or something where you are likely in a much more risky place. Second, try to identify the character of a person, no matter how many security features you put in an app. In the instant case, I think you can go on to blame apps, but this is more about the character of a person than the feature of an app, in my opinion. So I think this is an evolving era of these apps. They are developing security features. I think probably it will take more time, more technology to make 100% safe these apps 100% safe spaces.
No, I kind of, can I just come in, Jiten, 1 minute, because you said it's more the character of the person than the feature of the app. Let me just tell you, because I've never used this app, but I'm reading that purely going by the reports, this app is made I'm just reading here that their India revenue has doubled year on year in 2022, right? I'm just reading from reports.
Oh, yes.
And I'm hearing, Napinai, that in this app, there is no security check needed to create a profile. Also hearing, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no identity card required to sort of open an account on such a dating app, right? And thousands of profiles, and there are some complaints, we've seen some complaints as well of how thousands of profiles are created on such apps to trap women, for example, in cases for money, or lure or benefits, etc., right? More than, I just want to come in there and question you on that and the character of the person than feature of the app point that he was trying to make. Is it that simple, Napinai?
Not really. And the questions that you just put forth in terms of there not being accountability on the app, etc. Now, the difficulty is this. The law only says that it may be done voluntarily. It doesn't make it mandatory in terms of doing an identity check, etc. But here is what I would put forth as a self-regulatory mechanism for dating apps particularly. It is important for users to know that this is the level of accountability that is there on the dating app. It is not like somebody has verified the background, the character, or the, any information which is being put forth in the app. I distinctly remember talking about how today's generations would rather respect and believe an algorithm rather than human interaction. They'd rather believe what the algorithm tells them as what is a perfect match than the traditional way in which people met, interacted, and then decided to go forward, So that kind of blind acceptance of what they are seeing on these kind of apps should go. And for that, putting out at least a warning, that law doesn't mandate you to collect certain information is one thing. To explain to the user, therefore you're not collecting that information, you're not verifying the credentials of the people on it, you cannot vouch for their character, is a critical aspect too. Often I'm told warnings will be like cigarette warnings, which everybody will ignore. But even if 10% see it and are made better aware, I would say it's 10% saved. So I would think that, some warning, some information to the users on what is the extent of credibility of the persons who are on the platform is a critical aspect.
Yeah. Nikhil Mahadeshwar is also joining us. Nikhil, see, what are look at the limited legal options, right? In front of victims, and I'm using the word victims because, for example, right, just take a case study, right? If someone exploits a woman or a girl, no safety measures to stop such exploitation but to sort of report the profile, and maybe they just block it at best, right? Which clearly shows that there is no legal action against anyone, and it's business as usual, correct? That's it, it ends there.
So let us understand, first of all, this dating app itself is $1 trillion industry, and it is designed again in such a way, like there are by default algorithms, there are AI ML type of technologies used, and now as per the target, basically they are targeting, when I say about the fake profiles which are built on this with no identity and the promotion of anonymity which they are doing. So the way of target is our single women, are the women who are lonely and are registering on such type of apps to chat with stranger, like to fulfill their loneliness. But here they are not able to understand who is at the other side of the application. Just by swiping right and left, it doesn't work. Also, there is a responsibility which comes at the app side also. And the question is, does Bumble keeps any type of logs for such type of investigation? If the user is making profile, what type of, which IP address the user is using for making the profile? Bumble should also restrict the profiles which are created using proxy IPs or accounts which are created or profiles which are created using VPN type apps, because it is by default that the intention of the user, although we can say here specifically fraudster, will be to basically will be to cheat someone and to do fraud with someone when the user is, or the fraudster is using some type of proxy IP to create such type of account, and Bumble should basically restrict it. Yeah. Also, about the law enforcement agencies, so they should also have a grievance team which instantly responds to the law enforcement agencies when and where the information is required.
Nikhil, I just have a bad video line there. I'll just fix that video line with you, Nikhil. Nikhil, I have a poor video line with you. I'll try and fix that. I saw Jiten raising his hand. Yes, Jiten.
I think all of us as responsible panelists will be better off if we don't assume or say that all the women who are joining these dating apps are lonely and they're looking for partners. I think let's not objectify and then characterize women like that. I think all the teenagers, men, women, and a lot of families are joining. Maybe just they want to go and meet people and date. So let's not say that there are lonely women looking for partners. I mean, that would not be appropriate, I guess. So just a small correction for respecting women. Now, I think what government can do today, $1 trillion industry with almost 5 million users in India, I think we could at least have a government directive coming in form of bare minimum security SOPs for these apps. For example, Tinder, you can just make a fake profile, upload fake photos and start matching. Bumble, I think it requires to do a 360-degree facial scan and live video scan so that you are not a fake person making a profile. I think so using technology, you can at least have basic minimum parameters for all dating apps. So this is the basic minimum safety features you have to launch in your app if you want to operate in India, like having an emergency hotline, creating a common database of offenders, right to sharing a common database of complaints of victims and all those things, and using technology which is available today at least for creating safe spaces, and then spending a part of budget in the in the education of society, like how to use these apps safely, because remember, majority of users are in their like 18 to 25, which are most vulnerable sections, especially women. And in a country like India, where we are yet to understand the very culture of dating and then speaking about them with the family, I think it is very, very important to invest a part of your revenue in security and safety of and education of your customers and users.
Yeah. Napin, we've had this big debate about IT rules, etc. Do you think there is a need for some intervention or some sort of a legislation, or do you think enough safeguards are in place on these apps, especially?
The difficulty is this. The natural reaction to a situation like this would be to say that a further relook of the intermediary guidelines may be warranted to introduce certain safety measures or accountability measures through identity verification. That would presuppose that one side of the parties would want the accountability and transparency, and the other side doesn't want it. That's not really the case. Every user on these kind of platforms may want that anonymity. They may want to approach it in a different way. So leaving that aspect to the platform may be the better alternative. But from a platform's perspective, identifying the vulnerabilities, identifying the possibility of misuse, and the modes and manners in which that misuse can happen, having a more stringent self-regulatory mechanism may be the next step forward.
Okay, let's see where the story goes. In fact, the story is still unraveling. So many details coming in. I mean, there was this one detail I want to share with all our viewers. There is this detail that came in some time back from the Delhi police and our team of reporters tracking the story, that after killing Shraddha and chopping her body up into 35 pieces or more, he kept the severed head in the room, and he would, of course, stay in the same room because it was a one-bedroom house, a small house in Delhi, and it was one of the last parts of the body that he disposed. And we are hearing that he would look at it every day, and this is what the police is saying, that he would take a look at that severed head every day before he eventually disposed it. Can you imagine the twisted mind? And for someone like him, and we spoke to a doctor today who said that he had a laceration on his hand, a cut on his hand, and he came to the doctor. He was absolutely fine, confident, arrogant was the word that the doctor used, and someone who got away with murder. He thought he got away with murder for almost 6 months. What a story. We're continuing to track that story. Napinai, Nikhil Mahadeshwar and Jiten Jain, thank you for joining us on The Burning Question today. Thank you very much. Taking a short break. When we come back, running up to 9 p.m. with that big debate with Arnab, the details that don't add up. Was there an organized killing angle to this? That question is open. Stay tuned.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
FIR that has been registered against NCP leader Jitendra Awad. He huddled the woman's shoulder and also said that, why are you standing in the middle, just move ahead. After which she went to file a complaint.